Hey fellas, and welcome back to With a Y. Today I just need to get something off my chest. No, I'm not getting breast reduction surgery. I just really need to say that I cannot stand Toby Fox, which is why I'm sitting down while recording this video. Sure, I will happily play his games and cry to them and farm views and money off of the community he's built off his seminal works. I have no problem with doing that in regards to the things he's made, but the dog specifically, Tony Dog, can't stand him. This was actually not something I'm expressing. This is just a sentiment that people were like joking saying around a month ago. It started when Toby Fox got listed as one of the judges for a panel on the Japan Game Awards 2025. He's like the token white boy in this lineup that they let hang out because he's actually low-key chill. And you know, that was just like a funny thing to see in a vacuum, but it became an even bigger deal when Masahiro Sakurai, the head of the panel, released a photo of all the judges together eating dinner. At some game director meeting. Everyone is doing it great. It is so impressive. To get an idea of like who exactly is on this list, you have people who have made probably some of your favorite games. Hideki Kamiya, the guy who did Beautiful Joe, Okami, Bayonetta, Devil May Cry. You got Sakurai himself, Kirby, Kid Icarus, Smash Bros. I could go through naming all of these guys, but like, then you have Toby Fox, Undertale, Deltarune. I mean, like, I think he deserves to be there. I really like those games, but look at the proportions on the meals they're having, man. This is some rich people shit. I was almost so confused because the meals look so nice, but the plates almost look like they're made out of paper. Immediately after, I saw the sentiment coming up. Hey, I'm Toby Fox. I made two of the greatest games of your life, have a lead role in an animated series, am rich as fuck, have millions of fans, and hang out with revered video game developers eating delicious food. Fuck you! Saw two different posts that basically had this same sentiment. This guy had some different details. I'm Toby Fox. I made a perfect game at 23, and now I hang out with the greatest game devs in the industry. Fuck you. I like the difference between these two because depending on how you read it, it makes it sound like this person is saying fuck you to Toby Fox, and this person makes it sound like Toby Fox is saying fuck you to us. You see a lot of posts like this where like celebrities will find out some news about how like, oh, I'm Timothy Chalamet, I'm dating Kylie Jenner, I'm like really seen as a generational talent, I'm the star of Dune 3. Like, this is like a very common genre of post on Twitter, and it's almost always sarcastic. Like, there's no point in getting like this worked up over something that's so far removed from my life. The joke is basically, I don't really care if something good happened to you. It should have happened to me instead. And of course, Toby Fox is rubbing it on our face, like showing another picture that he shares with one of the game designers he was with. Sakurai-san treated the judges of the Japan Game Awards Game Designers Award to a delicious dinner. It was fun. Put an exclamation mark, man. At least pretend to be excited. Now, obviously, this is just all in good fun. The thing is, if you take these scenarios a little too seriously, it's very easy to get parasocial with celebrities who you see as being like living the dream, which I think a lot of people would see Toby as doing right now. So instead, I wanted to break this down into some core tenets of what I think the common perception of Toby Fox's public-facing persona is like, and see if that's really a fantasy you want to be living. I'm pretty good like with where I'm at in life, so I have like a vague list here that I'm not going to be like showing on screen item for item, but I did want to go through some key tenets of things that like, yeah, Toby Fox has this, I would be okay, and maybe dare I say even like having that be a part of my life. The big one is financial security. Who doesn't want to be a millionaire? Money is only good as the things it allows you to do, and like Toby hit the big time the first time he released like a big game with Undertale, and is basically just was given free reign to do whatever he wanted next for a project. He's like, oh yeah, I can soundtrack the remake of Off completely for free, purely as a passion because I love this game. Oh yeah, I can work like for 8 years on my follow-up to my world-renowned and beloved game Undertale before doing a paid-for copy, as well as hiring a bigger team to make it possible. But really, I think it just comes down to, I would like the financial security that comes with like never needing to worry about housing. If you get injured, as long as you can recover, you don't need to worry about the healthcare costs because you just got stacks like that. That's the type of stability I think anybody would like immediately say, yes, of course I want that in life. So that's why it's at the top. The way you make that money is another thing entirely though. Like, he's gotten that money off of being a beloved creative. And if I'm keeping it a buck, I'd rather have the money than the fame. If the fame is required to get the money, like, sure, that's fine, I'll do that. But as long as I've got the money, it lets me do the shit that I want no matter what from then on. And I think like Toby actually has the right approach, like where he's kind of a pseudo-faceless creator. Like, we know what he looked like at a certain age, but he just doesn't really drop new images of himself. himself. Like, he barely drops new voice lines of himself. Part of why it was such a big surprise that he's voice acting in Homestuck as the main character. But, you know, he's a dude who likes to pay respects to the things that inspired him coming up, which I can really respect. But, like, it's gotten to the point where most people can only see him as a little white dog. There's a reason that the thumbnail of this video is me choking out an illustration of, like, I don't know, whatever the annoying dog is supposed to be, a Pomeranian, whatever, dude, instead of just a PNG cutout of his face. That said, when you are like a mysterious guy on the internet who is still like known as a public factor, people will hang on to any crumbs they can find out about you. I'd say the closest example I can think of is the way that people would hang on every little bit of Frank Ocean news that they had, but you also need to kind of keep up that persona with actual output. Otherwise, people are going to give less of a fuck about what you're doing in your free time and are going to be like, just drop the fucking album or leave us alone already, man. You know, it's kind of a push and pull, but I think like he has the right idea with just mostly keeping to yourself with this public life shit. I chose to be a YouTuber. Terrible idea. In general, he gets to hang out with like legends of game design and probably a lot of the people that inspired him growing up. He gets to know them as peers and not just a guy that he's like big-eyed ogling at in general. And I'm gonna be honest, I can see the appeal of it, but I'm not too sure that I'm a meet your heroes kind of guy. Like, if it happens in some like natural way and that actually hits off through authentic connection, that's one thing, but I am not seeking that shit out. I hang out with game devs as is, and you know, I like those guys. Shout out Sam, shout out Ethan. But like, I'm not discriminating against game devs. I have game developer friends, but they are not people. I've said that on this channel before. I do not think they deserve humane working conditions because they are not humans. They should be chained to a chair in front of their computer and code until the game is done and perfect and not be allowed to do anything else outside of that. I respect the game developer community, but games as an art tend to be like pretty transcendent of the creatives who made them. It's very rare that like game designers get to be like seen as the sole creators behind a work like a film director might be seen as. People like Sakurai, Toby Fox, Kojima, hell, even like John Romero, who has made like a bunch of seminal first-person shooters and was like seen as the FPS guy, and people were really excited for Taikatana when that was a thing to get hyped about. Those are very much the exception, and even with indie games, like it's almost always like a studio is like seen as responsible for the collective work, which they obviously are, but like even Silksong, with as small of a team as that had, it's more known for Team Cherry being a passionate group of developers and creatives working on it, and I don't think there's anything inherently wrong for this, but being like seen as the guy who made Undertale on his own and being responsible for every creative choice behind the game, even though there were absolutely like multiple hands in the pot stirring that shit, it's a lot of pressure, man. It's a lot of pressure. Now, another essential part of the Toby Fox parasocial fantasy is that he's like the platonic ideal of the white guy who knows Japanese, and this one I'm actually kicking myself for because this was attainable for me the first time I ever had the thought like, oh, I think I'd like to learn another language, primarily Japanese. If I had meant it the first time when I was 12 watching anime and said, man, I really want to learn how to speak and write and read Japanese, if I had just locked in and meant it the first time, I would have known that shit by now. It would have been 13 years into practicing, and I would have been practicing the language, speaking it to some extent, longer in my life than I had it at this point. Instead, I just fucking flubbed it, man. And that's like a crucial lesson to take away from this. You only get good at skills by actually practicing them over time. And you know, unless you like die, there's a good chance you'll turn like 30 something someday, and you'll have been practicing a skill for like 10 years and be significantly better at it than you were when you started. Like, it's stupid that I'm at all like efficient with editing, but then I realize I've been editing videos for like 15 years. I didn't spend that time learning all the fanciest stuff, probably could have, but like my efficiency and work rate and the programs I know how to use has expanded over time. That said, I think Danny Brown said it well, that you can't talk about getting high if you're not going to talk about the withdrawals and the hangovers you get the next day. You got to talk about the entire experience of being involved with something like this. A really notorious thing that Toby Fox has had to deal with in recent years is hand pain. Toby Fox has like chronic wrist and hand pain that like has stopped him from being able to code and do a lot of the things he did creatively in the same capacity as he did in the past. Like, he says that like he can't really code anymore. He can't really use a keyboard the same way he used to. He has to use speech to text software in order to like input stuff on a computer, and apparently that's part of why he accidentally retweeted that fan art. That scoop came courtesy of a comment on the video I made on it, by the way. Yeah, just doing journalistic work out here. But it's actually something I really relate to, because everything I've ever had a passion in, it like requires like fine hand motion, like first-person shooter gaming, editing videos, writing scripts. And I've always had like chronic hand pain and the potential for carpal tunnel or tendonitis in the back of my head, but I've taken it varying degrees of seriously over the years. Like, I was doing like stuff kind of adjacent to calisthenics for a while, and my hand stretch routine came as a courtesy of that, like, which I'm doing very physically demanding stuff that requires you to have hand flexibility if you don't want to fucking pull your wrist. But like when I stopped doing that, it just kind of fell to the wayside. And every now and then I'll get like little twinges in my hand or like get like aches from playing Hades too aggressively that make me realize, oh shit, I really need to think about this stuff. And I really want to encourage y'all to think about this as well. No matter like if what you do is like art or you're like play the piano or you do Ableton. I know multiple people in my life who wanted to be a piano major going into college, got accepted on the merits of their ability to play music, but got tendonitis and had to switch majors, or they had to do like very rigorous physical therapy if they wanted even a shot of being able to pursue that later on. And ultimately, I feel like Toby Fox sharing his personal experience is actually like a really noble thing to do, because I also think you should be thinking about this. Some core things to think about: just general good posture if you like work a desk job or spend a long time at a keyboard, proper like elbow support and like making sure that your wrists are like not tensed up like when you're typing. I have switched to an ergonomic mouse sometime in the last year. I keep my normal one for like gaming shit, but the one that I use, I'm not getting paid for this, is the Logitech Vert. I believe it's the MX Vert, but I found it useful. I usually keep it plugged in because I don't really like the latency that comes with the Bluetooth settings, but the thing that makes it good is the ergonomics of it. It's not like the most like gamer ready mouse. The tracking is not as good as like my normal gaming mouse, but I still think it's worth like investing in for just general work. If you draw, I would use one of those like wrist braces that makes the movement a little smoother and like try not to tense up when you do it. And in general, you should be doing hand stretches every day, like no matter what you're doing, because every micro movement of your hand, especially with like the way we use smartphones and have like a vice grip on it like 6 hours a day now, that shit can really compound. Like I use a pop socket as well because I find it puts less strain on my hands. You hear all about like how you should be stretching when you're young so that you like maintain your knees to the like into older age, because at a certain point like you're not gonna get back what you've lost. You can only prevent further like deterioration of like muscles and your flexibility. But like stretching is hard and it hurts. You should still do it, but if there's like one thing I advocate everybody to do is hand stretches specifically, because they're super accessible. You can do them passively, and when you're old, there's just a lot of physical stuff you're not going to be able to do like at all, no matter how much prep you've done. But things with your hands are basically all you got left. Do you want to be like a mega fucking gamer when you're old as shit? Then you should probably take care of your hands. Do you want to knit? You should probably take care of your hands. That sort of shit. And yeah, this video basically just turned into an excuse for me to rant about take care of your body, guys. I'm a robot, so this is like secondary concern to me. I can just replace all the parts, Ship of Theseus style. You guys don't get the same luxury. Anyways, that's all I got. That kwytebox email is in the description if you guys want to send me any video topics. Anyways, piss off.